Well, after ripping her around for a little while, I can see why Dom wanted to wrestle me in the parking lot for this one. When I bought the bike from him, we actually had a deal on a package deal on 12 bikes, and he wanted to take this one off the lot, and I just drove a 20-hour round trip to the Netherlands of the sticks of Pennsylvania, where there's no cell phone and no internet, and your GPS doesn't even work. So I really wanted this bike because I knew what it was. Dom had explained this was Dom's personal race bike, one that Dom's a collector who had his own literally hundreds of vintage race bikes. He was formerly sponsored by Penton and was a top level racer, both in the modern class when he was a kid and then in the vintage racing, which he did as an adult. This particular bike, as his personal racer, this was a no expense spared build that took him years to complete. He estimated he had well over 200, close to 300 hours labor into building this bike. And at first glance, you might notice it's a little taller and a little longer than a regular Hodaka. And he actually built this as arguably the fastest Hodaka 125 in the world. He's done a bunch of work to this thing. So I guess I'll start off by talking about the really rare stuff that no one does. We'll start at the front end. The forks are off of a larger Hodaka 175 or 250. They're a little bit longer travel, a little bit thicker fork. And the triple clamps are off the bigger bike also, as is the front wheel assembly and front brakes. So the whole front end is off a larger, little bit bigger bore, more modern Hodaka. The frame up at the front here was completely dismantled, taken apart, and welded to a different rake in trail. One a little more aggressive for the to match the lengthened swing arm. So it's raked out a little bit, and the swing arm's been lengthened 1.5 inches. The other thing you'll notice, if you're a Hodaka guy, look at the Hodaka pegs. These were normally mounted underneath the frame down here. The whole assembly was mounted above the frame, and it's got a special set of 2-layer deep pegs, or double tooth pegs. So the frame has been highly modified. That kind of work takes a long time. If you come around this side here, you'll see this has actually been modified also, the chain guide. So that's it, pretty much covers the frame modifications on the bike. The suspension modifications, again, the front end is off of a newer 175 or 250. This is a 125. The dampening rods on the forks have been modified with heavier springs and heavier oil also added. The front tire on it is a brand new Dunlop. Take a close-up of the front tire if you could. We just put these on after we got the bike from Dom. The tires that were on there, you know, where they're older tires, had the bike for a while. So this is one of 50 or 60 bikes Dom had, so he didn't ride them all very much. So put a fresh set of Dunlops on the front. On the back, it's got a brand new Dunlop in the back. Also, the swing arm bearings, one thing I always check on the bikes, swing arm bearings, wheel bearings are super tight. That's all been replaced on this bike. If you look at the axle, it looks like it's got a special axle on it. It has a new sprocket and chain on there that Dom had replaced. It still has the kickstand on, which is kind of cool if you're a collector and you want to put the bike in your living room or on display. If you're going to race it, you want to take that off. Brand new Dunlop Geomax on the rear. The shocks are a very high-end set of Works Performance aluminum bodied shock with a dual rate spring. This is probably a $600 set of shocks or better. So there's been a lot of money put into this bike, but not so much the money, it's the time. Dom spent years, he estimated well over 200 hours into modifying the suspension, the wheels, the tires, the front end. The handlebars are different on it. It's got Magura levers on it. He upgraded the Magura to the Magura perches on both sides here. The higher bars, the Fox crossbar pad, all new cables. He even replaced the gas tank and the plastics with brand new Clark Engineering gas tank. It's a brand new tank from the Clark Manufacturing Company. If you come around this side, you see they have a billet petcock with the Clark Manufacturing logo on it. Brand new fuel filter, fuel lines, and it's got a Mikuni carburetor on it. He also said that the head and cylinders is special. It's not the original one. I'm not sure exactly what he had done to it, but he mentioned the porting was different. It's very, very powerful for a 125, and he had obviously replaced the internals on the engine, also piston rings, gaskets, top end bearing, lower end bearing, everything was done on it. Even the shifter was modified on this bike to match the custom mounting of the pegs, because the original shifter would have been in the wrong spot because the pegs are up higher. So just everywhere you look, there's trickery on the bike. It's got the original airbox, which is kind of cool, with the Wombat 125 logo. It's got a new set of Hodaka decals he put on with the Clark tank, and also he was a member of the Hodaka Club, so he's got the Club Rat motorcycle logo on there. He also put extra padding underneath the seat, took the cover off, put extra padding on there. And again, the rear fender and mud guard are all new. Take a close look at the bottom of the motor on this motorcycle. I want you to zoom in on here. One of the things we always check is frame rails on an old bike. Are they dented and smashed? Because they're very easily disfigured in a rock race off-road. These are on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to give these a 9.5. Close to a 10. They're almost perfect. They pretty much are perfect. The bottom of the engine cases are in perfect condition. And take a look, Kenny. There's no oil leaking anywhere underneath here. No oil leaking from the center case. We've even seen that on some newer two-strokes. This is just a real tight bike. This is one Dom knew he had a gem. We made a package deal on a bunch of bikes. This was part of it. So it's a beautiful piece. Dom did a wonderful job building it. He also has a hooker header on here. And I wanted to add, this is an FMF 2019 era turbine silencer, which is originally about this long, and the dirt bike wizard Chris Kelly looked at it and said, you know, that's too long, that needs to be shortened and modified. So Chris took it upon himself to shorten and modify not only the body but also the baffle inside to match, and it sounds perfect. We actually ran it with just the hooker header on. This is one of the few dirt bikes that actually hurt my ears. It was so loud it actually made my ears ring. It's really loud without the baffle. I highly recommend leaving the baffle on.
Yeah,
but
these Stinger exhausts from this era are just absurdly loud. That came off and it's just literally a small little metal tip and is way too loud. With this the modern baffle really makes it trackable, you know?
Absolutely. It's got this awesome aluminum side plate with the custom graphics on here by K-Ray Graphics. Just a beautiful piece. It's got Renthal grips on it. Kenny, is there anything you'd like to add about the bike? I mean, we don't see many Hodakas through here, let alone a highly modified one like this.
No. If you're watching this video and you're interested in the bike, watching the video with Dom Saleo, the previous owner, is a must. Go back in the eBay ad and watch that video. Otherwise, we could ship the bike anywhere in the States inexpensively. Message us your zip code for a quote or call with any questions, 860-454-7024. You can finance the bike through your local credit union. We'll do all the paperwork. Call Cody about that on the shop line.
Is that financing we're offering financing now is what you're saying?
We're
right?
offering financing now. We're right here in the dealership. Any one of these trail bikes can be financed through your local credit union. We'll do all the legwork for you. So
the dirt bike wizard, Chris, he went through the bike when we got it here, top to bottom, front to back, gave it a clean bill of health, did a compression test, cleaned the air filter, put fresh oil in it.
All the notes are in the auction.
Absolutely, and it's got brand new VP 110 fresh fuel mixed with Castrol 927, so you can't smell it, but it looks good, sounds good, and it smells better than coffee in the morning, if you ask me. I love the smell of that VP 110 and the Castrol, just something about it. Probably not good for you, but I love the way it smells.
It's not 100% VP 110. It's mixed with
50-50.
It's 50-50 with a lower octane fuel.
With 93 octane pump gas.
So you're running approximately 100 octane fuel, which is a sweet spot for class.
So Chris actually mounted the wheels, the tires, in brand new tires and tubes and rim strips, and modified the baffle and went through the whole bike. He had about, 6 hours labor into it just to get it to be 100%. Then I went to the detail shop and we added the new number plate graphics on there and detailed the bike. So it's about as good as you're ever going to find a Hodaka 125. Now it looks like a Hodaka 125, but it's a highly modified Hodaka 125, like you would see from a pro level racer of that era. So and Dom built this. When I'm ripping along here, I'm 220 pounds, and it's pretty bumpy over here, especially over by the whoop section there. I hit that 50 gear tapped, that little lump right there, and it just tracked it perfectly. That's because it's got a high-end set of worst performance shocks on here. That's the best suspension you can buy for a vintage bike, and this will qualify for the 1973 class. So enjoy it, roll it into your museum, leave it here at the New England Motorcycle Museum as an investment if you want. But rest assured, you're buying a kick-ass machine from someone who was totally obsessed with it for years. Dom is just like me. He lives, eats, sleeps, breathes, dreams motorcycles, and this one was done right. So